Jazakallah to Maulana Suleiman Rawat. For those who don't know in the crowd, when someone says takbir, it's a call, and the response is Allahu Akbar. That means Allah or God is great. There's only one God, and we pray to the same God in different ways, but it is a call to the Almighty to really not just only bless the occasion, but when we are fighting for justice, we always call on the Almighty. And that is a key tenet of our Islam. So thank you very much, Maulana, for reminding us of what our duty is as a Muslim. Just before I hand over, we're getting to the interesting part of the evening. We're very close. You're going to hear the minister in just a moment. For those who aren't joining us, I'm reminding you, you can tune in on a live stream on the ANC Gauteng page, on various social media platforms, including YouTube, Facebook, and X. You also are encouraged to take pictures. We've got different banners you can see all around here. I'll speak to some of the frames in just a few minutes. But we really are encouraging you, take pictures, take videos, post them on social media. Use the hashtag ceasefire now. Use the various hashtags of the ICJ. We need to get our voices out there. We need to continue the Palestinian struggle in that way. So thank you very much. And of course, we are live on Hilal TV. We are live on Radio Islam, and we are live on a number of different media platforms. So thank you very much for that. I'm now going to hand over to the chairperson of the ANC region of Greater Johannesburg. He is also the MMC, that is the member of the mayoral committee for finance, and that is Comrade Dada Morero. Let's give him a round of applause.
Better. Okay. Good evening. Sanbonan. Dumela. You want me to start by asking you to pay your rates and taxes before the discussion? Or should I confirm my talk to Palestine today and leave you alone with your municipal debt? And if you don't pay by tomorrow, I will be cutting you off. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been given a very short task to perform today. And my task is really to introduce those that will be talking to us on our topic, which is basically a dialogue with our minister and of course the provincial premier of Gauteng, and discussing matters around international solidarity and the International Court of Justice case, which South Africa successfully presented against the genocide by the apartheid Israeli state. So our panel today will be, of course, constituted by, or it will consist of our minister, Naledi Pandor, our minister responsible for international relations and cooperation. Naledi will also talk and touch on the significance of the ICJ. She will also touch on explaining the processes of the International Court of Justice, and of course, what is the attitude and the views of the ANC in relation to the two-state solution, and generally, what is the view of the ANC on the question, the Palestinian question. Our Premier Panyaza Lesotho is also part of the panel. He will also touch on the role of the ANC on matters of international solidarity and how we as the ANC are setting up structures to support solidarity movements, including issues of Western Sahara, Cuba, Sudan, and Eswatini. So those are some of the issues that the Premier will touch on. And of course, we also have Nazim Adam, who will then touch on the international solidarity movements. What is their role? What are they doing currently to support the Palestinian question? And what is the role of BDS and all other Palestinian support movements? Then, of course, we do have our Fasia, our honorable member who did not even introduce herself. Her name is Fasia. She just got married not so long ago, so she's a newlywed. I'm told now she can cook pap and poo too, so she's doing very well. So she will then be facilitating the discussion. But over and above, it's important that we also acknowledge the work that has been done by Comrade Greg and Comrade Tanya in helping us, working together with the committees here to put this event on behalf of the ANC. And of course, the local branch of the ANC, Comrade Sandy Kolapen will also be doing the vote of thanks today. And I see the secretary of the branch of the ANC is also amongst us and taking photos, Comrade Chris Masango. Now, our program will then unfold in that fashion, and I'll be allowing the speakers, the minister will start, followed by Premier, and then it will be Nazim, and Fasia will be responsible for facilitating the discussion. I would have failed if I don't acknowledge once more my provincial leadership that is here, the beautiful ladies from the PEC, who understand the importance of standing with the people of Palestine. Are you ready? Thank you. My task is complete. I will see you tomorrow when I cut you off. Thank you very much.
Testing, okay, perfect. Yes, I realized between us that I had forgotten to introduce myself. I think it's because we were all excited about the minister and everything going on. My name is Fasia Hassan. I'm the spokesperson of the Youth League on a national level. I'm also a member of the provincial legislature and an activist in the space. Maybe just to correct any fake news, I can't cook. I do try recently, but poor Kule, shame. Yesterday I tried to make cookies and they burnt, but he was a champion. He ate about 3. And today my trainer ate about 4. So, you know, I'd say we're making progress because I'm trying, but if I offer you food, I think twice, just to be safe. Tonight we're gonna have a discussion. We didn't want to make it a lecture. We didn't want to speak at our community. We want to have a conversation, and then we're going to discuss with you as well. So if there's anyone who can't see us, please quietly tell me and the team. We'll push our chairs forward because we want you to see and hear the minister. We want you to see and hear the premier, and we want you to hear and see Comrade Nazim Adam as well from Palestine Solidarity Alliance. You've got a whole of very excited, very passionate people. And I think one of the first things we need to ask you, Minister, is the significance of the ICJ process. But maybe for those who don't know, how does it work? You know, now we know it's a preliminary order, but what does that mean? What's going to happen moving forward? Over to you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Fasiha. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be with you today. I wish to begin by saying to you, I would like you as this audience, made up primarily of South Africans, to be proud of yourselves as South Africans. You have done something incredible. I am not seeking to please you when I say to you the whole world wants to know South Africans. They want to know, what does it take to take on this very difficult challenge? As a country that is right at the bottom of the African continent, that is a small economy compared to big economies, and that really should not have the cheek to challenge anyone. Now, this challenge does not begin today. And so before I speak about the ICJ, Fasiha, with your permission, I just want to say, I thought I was the only speaker here. And so I prepared a whole speech, but I'm putting it aside because Comrade Adam said we must be very brief. And I'm not used to brevity, but I will be. So in terms of what does it mean? The ICJ, the International Court of Justice, is the highest global court. It is one of the institutions of the United Nations body of institutions, a very significant body because it has the right to adjudicate on a wide range of matters that are set out in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in international humanitarian conventions and protocols, in a range of instruments that govern international law. And let me make it clear, what we're talking about today is international law. And I should have said, while Naledi is the one who's speaking, the leader on this issue is Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. And I should say too, the ANC didn't start supporting Palestine yesterday. It didn't start when we went to the ICJ. African National Congress has always stood with the people of Palestine in their struggle against oppression and injustice. It's not something new. It's not a new thing. Some people might be discovering it just today, but we have always been in solidarity with the people of Palestine. Some of our freedom fighters were trained by freedom fighters of Fatah and the Palestine Liberation Organization. And so we will not desert Palestine until freedom and their state equal with us. We will continue to support their just cause. This is a very important point. A second point is, as South Africa, in terms of our international policy, we believe in what is called multilateralism. We believe in a multipolar world. We don't believe in unipolarity, that there are one or two powerful governments in the world who think they can tell the rest of us what we should do. We don't support that. In our view, the premier institution of multilateralism, which should oversee our rights and our access to human rights, is the United Nations and no other body. So we're very clear on multilateralism and the premier global institution for humanity, the UN. We are against establishing institutions that displace the United Nations. We're against unilateral sanctions by one powerful country against countries of the world without recourse to the United Nations, which should be the one that sets sanctions. So I want to make these things very clear. This is a difficult world we're grappling with. It's a global set of challenges that all of us have to understand and engage with. So we said as government, we cannot, as South Africa that came through the struggle against apartheid, tolerate what is being done to the people of Palestine. We had at that time already observed for over a month the murder of children, of women, of old men, of youths. And we said, we can't sit silently by. What is available to us? We were one of the first countries in partnership with Gift of the Givers to send aid through Egypt to the suffering people of Gaza. Some of our aid got through, but I know a large amount of our aid is still stuck at the Rafah border because Israel is not allowing it in. So we are now going to approach others to ensure that we are able to get that aid in. But we thought, as government, let us test the most challenging international instrument to see whether it would act in terms of our case against Israel. I want to confirm to you the decision to go to the ICJ was taken by the Cabinet of the Republic of South Africa. It was a government decision. We had many people indicating government needs to do something, government must act. And in fact, we'd already referred Premier Netanyahu to the ICC for the ICC to actually investigate the conduct of the government of Israel and to do as they did with President Putin and issue a warrant for Prime Minister Netanyahu. We're still waiting for that to happen. But once we presented the memo to our cabinet, the cabinet immediately agreed that we must go to the ICJ in terms of the Convention on the Crime and Punishment of Genocide. So, following the decision of 8th December, we asked everyone in cabinet to say nothing and to leave it to DIRCO and Justice to do the work first. Because we know, when there are leaks, then it gets to other people and they put all kinds of barriers in your ability to act. So, alhamdulillah, everybody was quiet and never spoke about it. I must confess that one day I was in the Boer Cup at a meeting of our Muslim community in the Boer Cup. And there were some ladies who were very revolutionary. I'm sure they are BDS members, because BDS is revolutionary. And they were shouting at me, "Naledi, action, Naledi, action." And this was after the cabinet meeting. And I knew in my heart that we were preparing, but I couldn't defend the government. There was nothing I could say, because I told everybody, let's keep quiet till we're ready. So I took the ladies, they punched a bit and everything, and I just knew in my heart, and I was saying, Allah, I know you're listening, you know what we're preparing. So we worked throughout December. It was our legal team, and especially the DG of Justice and our DG, Zain Dango, who did the hard work. And of course, the initiator was Minister Lamula, and the executioner is me. So we were working throughout December, but the papers are prepared by lawyers because it's a court case. All I did was they would send something and I say, you missed out and you didn't spell this properly and so on. But we got the documents done. Then we sent them to our principal, the president of the ANC, President Ramaphosa. He took a few days and I was getting worried because there's a deadline. So I kept sending him SMSs. President, we need the document. We've got to finalize it. I have to send it in by such and such date in December. Fortunately, Zain Dango is Muslim and myself, so we could spend December doing that. So we were able to work on it, and 29th of December, on the date of the deadline, we sent it in. Importance is, one, you're approaching a global international institution. Very important. So what does it do? What you table before it is tabled before the world. It's tabled before the world. When we sat there in The Hague, the feeling in my heart was, for the first time, Israel's impunity is visible to the world. So the importance was the issues related to our belief that genocide is being committed. Those issues and what genocide means were on the table, described by our legal team. You would have seen with the Israeli legal team, they couldn't respond to those issues. We tabled all the matters, and of course, it's a court case. We don't want to ruin our court case, but here's the process. We had to wait for their decision. We wanted an urgent decision on provisional measures only, not on the genocide, because you don't deal with it quickly. It's a whole process. But on the provisional measures, we wanted the court to say, stop this killing. Make sure aid gets in, and all the 9 that we asked for. They granted 7 of the 9, and we feel vindicated, primarily because in Israel's case, its responding case, 1, they said they have no dispute with South Africa. We have a dispute with them. They said they don't have a dispute, we don't have a dispute, and therefore, in terms of the convention, we cannot bring a case. But we had written to them to say we are going to the ICJ and what the reasons are. And they unfortunately wrote back to us saying they disagree. So there was a dispute. And the court said there's a dispute. You're shaking your head. You disagree. I'm talking facts, not making it up. The gentleman is going like this. So the second thing was the issue of genocide, because it's a very serious allegation to make. To commit genocide is a very serious matter. And so the court has to consider all the issues extremely carefully. Hence, the final decision is not made immediately. But what the court does, they look at what you have submitted and they make a decision on what they call plausibility. Is it plausible that genocide is indeed underway, as South Africa claims? So when we were in the court, the first part of their statement was accepting there's a dispute. The third paragraph, and they took long, lawyers reading all their things. But when they came to the third paragraph, they then spoke to the matters relevant to genocide and the sections we had quoted of the convention. And they said they find the dispute, we got plausibility, and the lawyers were breaking my hands by that time because they knew that the court was taking our case seriously. So the importance of this case is it places you in a very invidious position. Remember as well that if you are associated with the commitment of genocide, the committing of genocide, you yourself become a party of the guilt, saying Israel must respect the international court. Now, they've changed because next thing you are implicated. and you have to come before the court. So that is, then where do we have a case, and can we have provisional measures? You know that Israel has ignored the provisional measures. They've submitted the report. That's the only part they've acted on. We are preparing a response to their report. I don't have to tell you what it is. You can guess what's happening there. But the court has reiterated that Israel has a legal obligation as a state party to the convention to act on what the court has set out. So the legal points are established. We're now going to move, once the court gives us a date, to what is called the merits of the case. Comrade Anwar would be explaining this much better than I. The merits would go into the key issues of whether there is indeed a genocide. And it's clear. If I deny you food, if I deny you water, if I deny you energy, my intention is to kill you. If I tell you move to point B, and as you move, I kill you, my intention is to wipe you out. If you move to point B, then I tell you back to point A, and I kill you as you move, my intention is genocide. So for the African National Congress, this is a clear issue of an abuse of human rights, and it's something that we cannot accept or tolerate. And as the African National Congress and this government, we are resolute that we will continue to pursue this case. And of course, if you, as the people of South Africa, do something very odd, like not ensuring the ANC as a majority, we as the ANC, we're going to pursue the case, but the government won't. So make sure you vote.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Minister. I think we're all a lot more clear on how the process is going to work. I'm going to break a little bit with protocol. I'm going to come to you in a moment, Premier. But I actually want to link something that's very important in terms of the discussion around the ICJ and solidarity and international solidarity. But I'm going to pick up, Minister, from something you've just said. And I'm going to put you in a tough spot here, Uncle Nazim, or Comrade Nazim. I was told to, not Uncle, I was told not to do that, sorry. But yeah, I'm interested to know some of your thoughts about this upcoming election, in addition to this international solidarity. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but I'd be very interested to hear some of your thinking on this upcoming election. And for those who may not be able to see Comrade Nazim, maybe just come a little forward, yourself as well, Premier. I'm a little worried that maybe those at the back may not see your face. Premier as well, if you can come forward. Over to you, not Uncle, Comrade Nazim.
Oh, I think Fasia is worried that time is out, so she wants to jump into other issues. I firstly, Minister, Premier, Comrade Dada, the efforts of our government in international justice is highly commended, and you've heard that from everyone. I've just got a note now that our government is seeking additional provisional measures at the ICJ. And we understand that this is because of the horrors that we are witnessing every day. I must be honest, as the Palestine Solidarity Alliance in particular, but in the solidarity movement in general, we didn't hold much hope for this ICJ thing. We thought we're going to another United Nations resolution, veto, and so forth. We nevertheless saw it as a positive move, and we encouraged it. I know from our side, we had a live panel monitoring it with Advocate Islam Bawa and a few other legal people, and it was really interesting, and the take from a legal point of view, and there was huge interest. I think at one point we had like 7,000 or 8,000 viewers on our channel for this. And so when the minister says that Israel's impunity was being exposed, the social media, the efforts of the solidarity movement and so forth clearly indicates there was great interest and hope. We had already submitted to the ICC as the PSA 2 Gaza dockets. So after Cas led, we had submitted, but at the time, Palestine was not yet a recognized state within the United Nations, even as it is now. And we know that that status has to be where they are a fully fledged, recognized, independent state. That's the objective. So the ICC had rejected our cases. We, in 2021, had lodged the Al-Aqsa docket. This docket is placed at our NPA, the National Prosecuting Authority. And one of the things as we prepared for tonight was to bring to government the fact that the National Prosecuting Authority of our country is not serious when it comes to international justice. They are not acting and they are not moving. We have presented in the Gaza dockets and now again a list of South Africans serving in the Israeli Genocidal Defense Force. We want them to be prosecuted. But what I want to say is that solidarity work is not easy work. It took us, and that's the PSA formed after the World Conference Against Racism in Durban. We formed a little organization. We did a few legal cases. We did lots of other work. We got to this point where there was movement, and we found this at the ICJ. We were thus very, very, very positively surprised when the ICJ gave the positive ruling of plausibility. And they did it with rugby scores. 14-2, and so forth. So political shifting requires our continuous effort. Coming to your question, Fasia. We are living in a country where there are mixed communities, mixed politics, and so forth. But what we are finding is that in 30 years, we have not changed the revolutionary culture to be that of all South Africans. The culture that we grew up with in our struggle for justice, for equality, for freedom, and most importantly, the culture of anti-racism has not permeated within our society. I think that if we had taken those values that gave character to the people that have led our movement, we would have not seen the kind of support that certain political parties give for Israel. We would not see the hypocrisy of a certain Steenhuisen flying to Ukraine, but not flying to Gaza. So the fact that if it is someone of fair skin that is suffering, that you should feel more. But when it's someone who is of a darker skin and they are suffering, they deserve it. Is a racist value system that still permeates much of our society. And we need to challenge that racism. I think that for me was the greatest victory of the ICJ and the work that we did here, is to say that the statement of Nelson Mandela that South Africa cannot be truly free until Palestine is free is now far more relevant, because it has opened the minds and the hearts and the souls of South Africans to what freedom really means, what justice really means. And Palestine has awakened the world to see what is the difference between justice and injustice. They have stirred the hornet's nest on October 7th and before that, because the resistance didn't start on October 7th. We can talk about that a little later, because I think that is important. There is a sense, we have a lot of Palestinians we've been supporting, who have come back, who have been living in South Africa. And we ask, what's your feelings about Hamas? You're seeing everyone is playing Hamas. Why don't they release the hostages? Now there's this massacre and destruction. And every Palestinian's answer is the same. Hamas has given us our dignity. So while the West will spin a story and it's now exposed the New York Times for its lies, we know that on October 7th, which no one wants to talk about, is that 3 military bases were attacked. It was a military operation. One base. No one was supposed to know it exists. It's a military intelligence base. So the right to resistance, we in Lens know very well. We have been part of a struggle where we have had people from our community serve in Umkhonto we Sizwe. We even lost comrades, Yusuf and Prakash, my close comrades, who passed away while on an operation. We understand resistance and the right to resistance, and we applaud the resistance. And we must be clear, it is not only Hamas that's resisting. All the resistance organizations, from PFLP to Fatah to Islamic Jihad, are all standing in defense of Gaza. And when we ask ourselves, why? Why did Hamas attack? They had no other choice. They were living under a medieval siege for over 17 years, where even the amount of calories per person was being rationed to enter Gaza. We know as the PSA, because we are part of the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, that when we attempted to break that siege, they attacked the Mavi Marmara, a humanitarian aid convoy. Let me just tell you that we are going to sail again this year. And we are going to sail with an international community, and we are going to break the siege. We are going to break the siege because the atrocities and the inhumanity can no longer be allowed to continue. Masjid al-Aqsa, the Zionist, Orthodox, Jewish fascists, as Alan referred to them, were preparing to shut it to all the Muslims and take it to build their temple. If you look at the statements of Ben Gavir and others, that was on the cards. That's why we also already had the Al-Aqsa docket in 2021. So you've got a siege, you're hungry, Masjid al-Aqsa is under threat, and there was already intelligence information of the displacement and relocation of all of Gaza to the Sinai. So do you sit back? You resist. You have to. And that is the dignity that comes with standing for freedom, justice, and equality. Who do we vote for? We've debated this in the solidarity. But we are not here to campaign for any particular political party, except to say, you don't vote for those political parties who are narrow nationalistic, who are racist, who support Zionism unconditionally and give impunity. We do not vote, and I will say it, for the DA. But you also know that's not a new thing. We've always opposed the DA. You do not vote for the PA. You do not vote for the ACDP. And I don't even know those others because they're insignificant. When you vote, and I thought hard about this, because